Today, we're diving into one of the most critical yet most often understood roles in church leadership, and that's the title of executive pastor. And one of the reasons why it's so misunderstood is because every church, and we work with hundreds of churches in my role at chemistry staffing, every church, it seems, to have a little bit of a different job description for an executive pastor. The position isn't just about administration. In a lot of places, it's about shaping the church's direction. Some places it's not. It's about ensuring efficiency and fostering a healthy leadership culture. Some places it's not. Every church has a little bit different definition. And many churches really struggle to define the role clearly. But we're going to break it down here today, and I'm going to share some insights from an article, and I'll link to it in the comments. That is from David Fletcher. He's from xpastor.org. That's X, the letter X, pastor, not EX, like former xpastor.org. David Fletcher, man, I don't know. He's the guru that a lot of I call him the dean of executive pastors, right? A lot of people look to his leadership when it comes to the role of executive pastors. And he wrote a few years ago an article that I'm going to unpack here because I think it's just so good about 3 distinct types of executive pastors that he's seen over the years. And as we unpack these 3 categories, they could help you and your church if you're looking at possibly hiring an executive pastor, if you're writing a job description for an executive pastor. But most executive pastors fall into one of these 3 categories, and hopefully this framework can really help you define and refine and maximize what your executive pastor should be doing, could be doing, will do in the future. All right, you get it. Let's get to it. The first type of executive pastor is what David Fletcher calls the overseer of operations. The overseer of operations. So this type of executive pastor focuses on the administrative and the operational facets of the church mostly, okay? So think of them almost, if you're thinking in a business sense, as the chief operating officer, the COO, ensuring that the day-to-day functions of the church run smoothly, anything from managing finances to overseeing the facilities. They're really the backbone of the church's infrastructure. And in addition to these foundational things that they do in their responsibilities, they also play a key role in compliance, things like risk management, legal considerations of the church, making sure that the church operates within all the legal and ethical standards and biblical standards. They are the developer of policies, a lot of times for financial stewardship, those kind of things, overseeing the budget process, making sure that there's transparency in financial reporting. All of those things are done by this kind of overseer of operations type of executive pastor. Also, the overseer of operations oftentimes is responsible for HR, human resources, sometimes for staff development, for organizational effectiveness. They're the ones that are working behind the scenes. They're the policy wonks, right? They're creating the policies that enhance workflow and improve team dynamics. And a lot of times their leadership includes and extends even over into volunteer management and security and IT systems and data management, all of those kind of essential things that are technology related, but also have to fit into the facilities part of the role as well. Anything really that can be essential in keeping the church running. And David notes that leading and managing the church, particularly larger churches, it's become really complex and multidimensional. And for many churches, this overseer type of an executive pastor is really crucial. When growing challenges like cybersecurity and regulatory changes and church management software, all those kind of things that most pastors really don't want to worry about, that's the specialty. That's the wheelhouse of the overseer of operations. And that's really the first type of executive pastor, the overseer of operations. The second kind is the ministry strategist, okay? Now, this type of executive pastor differs from the overseer because he's going to collaborate a little bit more closely with the senior pastor to develop and implement the church's ministry vision, okay? So the overseer may or may not have a major ministry component in his job description or her job description, but the ministry strategist, that's what they're looking at. They're coming along the senior pastor side and making sure that they can take the vision that the senior pastor have and implement that throughout the church and the staff. So the ministry strategist really deeply involved in program development and things like discipleship pathways, ensuring that all the ministries come together in a line, that there's no that everybody's staying within the vision and mission of the church. Okay. But it has more to do than just programs, right? The ministry strategist is also going to play a key role in leadership development and equipping staff and volunteers with all the tools that they need. They may oversee ministry teams and different staff departments. They make sure that there's alignment across different age groups and small groups and outreach initiatives. And they play a part in goal setting and all that kind of vision and ministry management type thing. A crucial aspect, though, of this role a lot of times is program oversight, curriculum oversight, making sure that teaching materials are biblically sound and relevant and effective, and just making sure that everything fits in with the vision of the governing board and the senior pastor. Okay, so the executive pastor often works closely with the senior pastor. The executive pastor does, and also other outside organizations. They work with partnerships in the community. They enhance community impact. So a lot of different things. It's a role that really blends strategic planning along with the pastoral and the ministry side of things. So there's some pastoral insight and some shepherding that goes along there. So this type of person, unlike the overseer that doesn't necessarily need to have this, the ministry strategist has to have a balance of theological depth and some organizational leadership to guide the church effectively into the future. Okay, so we've talked so far about the ministry overseer, or about the overseer, and about the ministry strategist. And then the third type of executive pastor that David mentions is the second in command. Okay, this is the last of the three types, and in this capacity, a second in command executive pastor really acts like the right hand of the pastor. Now, you might say, Todd, that sounds a little bit or a lot like the ministry strategist, and there are some overlaps here, okay? But we're going to go into some of the differences. The second in command, it's almost even elevated over the ministry strategist because there's almost a sharing in leadership responsibilities and often stepping in maybe when the senior pastor is unavailable. This second in command really requires a versatile leader that can wear multiple hats, anything from preaching to crisis management, ensuring continuity in leadership in case the senior pastor leaves or there's some kind of a scandal or anything. But beyond, there's more to it though. Beyond simply in for the senior pastor, the second in command executive pastor is going to be an active collaborator on key church initiatives. He's going to help contribute to vision casting, not just carrying it out, but contributing to the development of those things. He's going to be, or she will be, a part of strategic planning, a part of conflict resolution. They act almost as a bridge between the leadership and the staff, ensuring smooth communication and cohesion just in the organization as a whole. They provide mentorship. They foster a culture of growth and accountability within the church, and they just do a lot of different things. There you have it. You've got the three different types. Now, every church is different, and every church needs maybe one of the three kinds or maybe a combination, okay? But understanding these roles, whether it's managing operations or strategizing ministries or supporting senior leadership, every type of these three types plays a really vital part in fostering a healthy church environment. And I hope that just by knowing that they're all under this executive pastor name and umbrella, that by clarifying maybe three different types of executive pastor, it might take some of the confusion out of this role. Let me leave you with this. A well-defined executive pastor role really leads to greater efficiency and improved team health, a clear pathway for church growth. And the first thing you got to do is decide what kind of executive pastor do you need? How will these roles evolve over time as your congregation grows and ministry needs shift? It's really very interesting. I'm going to give you a link down in the comments to David's article. You can read exactly what he says there. It's really good stuff, particularly if you're at the point where you're starting to think, I think our next hire is going to be an executive pastor. And if there's any way that I can help you, I would love to have a conversation with you and hear where you are and hear what you're thinking about hiring an executive pastor. That's what we do, is we help churches hire all different types of full-time ministry staff, including executive pastors. If there's any way that I can help you, or my team here at Chemistry Staffing can help you, reach out to me. You can leave a comment, or you can just send me an email, podcast@chemistrystaffing.com. And if you found this helpful, give us a thumbs up, subscribe here, and for some more insights into church leadership. And a special shout out to my friend David Fletcher for his invaluable contributions to really understanding the role of executive pastor for so many churches.